Hey, it's good morning, it's good afternoon, it's good evening. You know it. That's best said by Paul Rosen. I'm Kerry Goulet, your host for Gouche Live Aussie Style. I'll tell you what, action packed, incredible, inspirational, enthusiastic, passion, all of those things are, no, it's not Sam Trampolino. It's going to be our guest, Cam F. Awesome. He is awesome. I had a chance to talk to him. I've watched some of his videos. I've watched him in action. Incredible. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Listen, I just want to do a shout out. Paul Rosen was going to join us tonight. Unfortunately, he's unable to because I'd love to see Paul and Cam have a conversation. Paul, of course, won a gold medal for Team Canada in 2006 in Torino. Wearing that jersey, wearing that Team Canada jersey, we're going to be able to ask Cam what it's like to wear your flag on your chest and represent your country. I'm really excited about that. But before we get there, we want to get to our good friend, my co-host, who thinks he's in a boxing ring. Listen, I'm going to play cricket against him. I'm going to play hockey. I think he may beat me in cricket. I know I'm going to be able to beat him in hockey. I think I'll get some tips from Cam just to let me, the uppercut. I know that's his favorite, shot. So before I get over to Australia, I hope I get to meet Cam so he can, because I think Sam is a little bit bigger than the Gouche. All right, listen, let's get real.
When I should have weaved, and I weaved when I should have bobbed. I think that was my problem.
Yes, well, of course. Then you needed to wake up. Obviously, great backdrop, in a boxing ring. Cam represents more than just boxing, which is amazing. And you hear these stories a lot, but he's inspirational. Just listening to this guy, he's a mentor. He's a public speaker. He's an ambassador. Now just learned tonight he's vegan, where Paul has gone from, he's now at 61, decided to go vegan. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about that too. So this is action-packed, but it's also going to be very educational.
Look, I've been hooked on kind of Cam's story since I watched the Counterpunch documentary, following Cam through the rises of the national ranks, Golden Gloves champion, national champion, and then his Olympic dream. So I'm a fan of the boxing side. We'll get into the politics of boxing maybe a little bit with Cam. He'll explain a bit more. But beyond the ring, Cam does so much more, which I think transcends sport, which is what the superstars actually do. They give back so much.
Yeah, no question. And of course, we know that it's late night here, and over the next 24 hours, we're going to have all of our constituency watching this. So I know that they may not be able to participate, but here we got one of our greatest ambassadors, Robert Wine. He always calls me awesome. So I'm almost honored that I've got the same name as Cam F. Awesome, but he also says I'm awesomer. So I think today's show is going to be awesomer, and Cam's going to be awesomest. What do you think of that?
When I said when Cam confirmed that he could come on, instantly I put awesome up, and I went, no pun intended, of course, but just Robert uses it, we use it, and well, Cam, what's it called? He's I guess he's cornered the phrase now. He's got his name on it, so he's got us all beat.
That's why I'm going to trademark it. Hey, listen, I love Robert coming on and trying to use his Aussie speak. Good eye, mate. Hey, put another shrimp on the barbie. Hey, how about some Vegemite?
Nothing wrong with that Vegemite. Good stuff. Good stuff.
And the bloody gross news is gone to
grouse. That's grouse.
All right. Listen, and we've always got our good buddy Eric Kuzak join us. Aaron, we love you, kid. Thank you for being on the show last week. We're going to follow that up. But our guest, you're going to be so awesome out by the end of this 30 minutes. I'm already there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the man they call awesome, Cam F. Awesome.
Hey, what's up? What's up, guys?
Hey, we're great. Now, listen, before you say anything, I got my we're producer-less tonight, so I got to do it all. I got to put the pictures up. I got to do all the things behind the scenes because we've been doing so many shows, Cam, and this one, when Traps, as he calls himself, but when Sam said to me, "I've got Cam on," I went and saw your videos, and I said, "I'm doing this alone." So watch this. I pulled this one off.
My name is Cam F. Awesome.
and I'm a multi-time USA National Champion heavyweight boxer and former captain of the USA National Boxing Team. As captain of the USA National Boxing Team, I traveled around the world as an ambassador for the US in over 30 countries. This is where I learned to interact with people of different cultures from all over the world. My experience throughout my travels has taught me how much easier it is to communicate once we truly understand one another.
How great is that to see your boxing gloves are your passport to the world? So I think you may or may not know I played professional hockey and got the chance to play in Germany and travel the world. And I've done this little title called My Skates Are My Passport to the World. Seeing you and watching what you've done with a pair of boxing gloves, it just feels so. I'm honored to have you on the show because you do so much that a lot of people don't know that you do. Because of the fact that they only see you as a tremendous athlete, but you're much more than that. So you're a 5-time boxing USA national champion. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that we are so excited to hear your story, and it has to come from you. So we're going to give you a couple of minutes to tell us, Cam F. Awesome.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's an honor. I'm not. So where do I start? Also,
From the beginning.
Before I even start, thank you for such an amazing introduction. I wish I can carry you around everywhere with me to introduce me places, because I'm cocky with gloves on, but I'm normally just outside. I'm more of a humble person, I believe. But I guess my story's that's kind of vague.
Let me jump in. I'm going to help you because I know sometimes people, and I've been around the world and met a lot of people, but again, I don't want to overstate how great you are. You know, you're not going to do it for us, so somebody's going to do it. I'm going to do it for you because I've been where you are, and I really respect the fact that you're humble and you don't want to hear all the accolades, but you have tremendous accolades here. So what I'd like to know, if you don't mind, just share with us. Obviously, you fell in love with the sport of boxing. Today I work with a lot of guys that deal with concussions and, that stigma that comes along with boxing. It's just a bunch of thugs, beating each other up. It's not. It's artful. It's well-disciplined. It's very creative. It's very disciplined. And so you as a young boy, the dream of obviously representing your country at the Olympics obviously was your goal when you got in it. You've got a couple of golden gloves. So tell us how you fell in love with that and the progression to get to where you were actually fighting on the world stage. Is that? That's a
great runway for me to take off. So I started boxing at the age of 16, and I did it with no intentions of becoming a boxer. I did it just actually to lose weight because prom was coming up, senior prom, and I thought if I lost weight, I would get a prom date. I didn't get a prom date, but I did get to fall in love with boxing. So I would go to the gym every day, and no one cared that I was there. I was just there just for fitness. So no one taught me how to box. So I just watched other people, and whatever they did, I just kind of mimicked. And that's how I kind of like made up my style. So everyone says I box awkwardly. Well, I taught myself, and that's what happens when you kind of teach yourself. But because of my awkward style, I made it through the rankings pretty quickly, and within the first 2 years, I became the number 1 boxer in the United States. I won nationals in 2008. Also qualified for the Olympic trials in 2008, but lost. Then I continued to win nationals every year up to 2012, and then I won the 2012 Olympic trials. Was going to head to the London Olympics, but I got suspended and kicked off the Olympic team for a year for failing to fill out paperwork for a drug test.
Wow.
Yeah, that part sucked of the story. So now when you're on the USA National Boxing Team, you have to basically USADA, United States Anti-Doping Agency, they want to know where you're at all times. So
Yeah.
you have to basically, if you're leaving town, so if I'm leaving to go to an interview 3 hours away, I have to send them an email or a text message to let them know I'm leaving.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
they might randomly show up to your house. But like if I were to go in a pool and I won't have my phone on me, I'm supposed to let them know. That's how strict it is, because they want to know where you are on the hour. Now, I've even proposed to put a tracking device on me. Like I'm not high, I have nothing to hide. It's just that who knows where they're going to be at all times. And I don't work and I live in a van. So it's hard for me to know where I'm going to be at all times. But during this time, I didn't live in a van. And what I did was I left the country to go fight in a tournament in Azerbaijan, a tournament where you get drug tests to fight in. And the same drug testing agency drug tested me that same week, and I tested negative. But because I left the country without telling them, they showed up to my house to give me a random drug test, and I wasn't there. And a missed drug test is a positive drug test.
Yeah.
So, cue a really crappy year. Actually, I won't even downplay it. I was depressed. I was sad. I gained a lot of weight. I was really embarrassed because, in my mind, I was going to the Olympics. I was going to be able to represent my country. It's supposed to be this honor. I was going to make all these people proud. And then like that, I came back to the States and I found out not going to the Olympics. I'm suspended for a year. I'm completely embarrassed. I was living in LA, but the place was paid for by sponsors. I couldn't get sponsorships anymore, so I was practically homeless. They told me to just give me one flight anywhere, so I took a flight back to Kansas City and crashed on a friend's couch. Gained a lot of weight during that time. And then weirdly lost a bet. And the Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, and I had to be vegan for 28 days. And the diet also entails sobriety, so I stopped drinking as well, and which caused a lot of the weight gain.
Right,
and
of course.
Being able to be sober allowed me to lose weight and kind of made me a positive person again. And I realized I didn't like the person I became because I became a very negative person for that year. I was drinking a lot, and I wasn't a happy person. I wasn't happy to see other people happy. And misery loves company.
Yes.
And I decided I didn't want to be that person anymore. And because I'm just dramatic and flamboyant, I decided I was going to change my name and symbolically kill off the old me on my half birthday and have an after birthday party to celebrate the birth of Cam F. Awesome and the death of Lenroy Thompson.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's your original name, of course. I read that. And that is an amazing story. And I think what's really great about it is that you transformed from, even still, you had success. Obviously, you went through some trials and tribulations with all athletes do. We have these, ebb and flows through our life. But you took that and you built something even greater from it. And one of the quotes I've read, and I really was inspired by it, work, and this is from you, work hard when no one is looking. When they look, make it look easy. And you know what? Until you understand that statement, and it took me a couple times I read it, I get it. Because one of the things is that it's easy to go to the gym and have all those people around you and you pretend you can pump the iron. And then when nobody's there, you're sitting there having a chocolate bar. I've done that. So I've learned that lesson. But then through training camp, I did that. And when I got to the game situation, I realized I had to do that hard work when nobody was around, because that's what made me better. It's not when everybody's looking. It's when you're alone and inside yourself. So thank you for establishing that, because I think a lot of kids today don't get that. Because of this, we all need to be on it, and we all need to be recognized and get the not only the engagement, but the gratitude from it, that ping. And so I think what you've done is given us the ability to know that even though things go hard and it doesn't go your way, you can rise above the occasion. So I'm really blessed to be able to talk to you about that. Tell us a little bit about, obviously, putting on that jersey for the USA. I have only done it once for Canada. It wasn't an official Team Canada for hockey, but me just putting that jersey on and playing another country at a fairly medium level tournament, I was just so electric. I was so nervous that night, before I went and played. Talk to us about that feeling.
Yeah, I think what made me what made me the person I am is that I never really put any pressure on myself. In hindsight, I look back, I'm like, oh, that was a big deal. But I casually did I tried never to overthink anything or to play it up too big. I was genuinely just happy to travel. In my mind, I thought like if I sparring is just like fighting, and if I can spar in a gym, I can fight in a gym, and it's just a different ring in a different country. But there is something different when you get to wear that jersey, and it's for like the whole country. And you try, like in my head, I try to downplay it, but it is actually the coolest feeling in the world. Because like the country's pretty big, and yeah, it's always just been an honor. It's hard to put in words.
Well, Cam, so let's go back to 16-year-old Cam floating around the gym, kind of mimicking what he sees. 2 years before you're kind of one of the top echelon boxers, that's a very steep rise. You must have had some serious talent beforehand, just of natural ability, because someone I've done very little amount of boxing when I was younger. It's something that you need years and years behind you normally to be able to compete at a decent level. Who was some of the people around you, or even role models that you looked up to, whether it be on film or people in your life? Can you tell us who was someone that really guided you through that and got you to the top, or helped you get to that top?
I would say, first of all, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be good. And I didn't have like an athletic background. Like I've never made a sport. I never made the basketball team, football team. I tried out for every year. Once in 8th grade, I got in. I broke my wrist before I got cut. So technically I never got cut off the team. But other than that, I never made a team. So I didn't really have much of an athletic background coming into boxing. But I just didn't realize I was so dumb that I thought I was supposed to be good. I was confident. I didn't know better. So I just like approached it as a fun activity, that it's like it's like a mind game. And if you can figure out the mind game and figure out the pieces to the puzzle, you get to win. And that's kind of the way I've always looked at the game of boxing. So when people talk about the sweet science, it's all mind games. Everything I do is mind games, because they talk about boxing's 95% mental. I completely agree. Yeah. And the reason why I work out so hard is just so I can be sure that I'm allowed to be confident. And I think because there are people who work out really hard, but they're still unsure of themselves, and then they seem fatigued in the ring. And there's some people who don't really work out that hard, but think they're supposed to be good, and somehow they just always do well. And I think a lot of it's the mental aspect.
100%. Well, look at this picture. Oh my God, that is stoic. That is almost Hollywoodish. And there's something here. Now I've watched a couple clips of you boxing, and one of the questions that I need to ask you, you boxing, what's the one thing that you love about boxing? Like what? I know the answer, but I want you to explain to our guests what you love when you get into that ring.
Conquering a man's soul would probably be, that is not my original quote. I will give that one to a man named Jeremiah Graziano, but conquering a man's soul is the greatest feeling in the world. Like being in the ring and just beating someone, not so much physically, but every time they try to do something, you counteract it and you shut them down, and they try to throw a jab and you counter that, and they throw an uppercut and you counter that, and you haven't even released your arsenal yet. And at that point they know, like, oh, they're screwed. There's nothing that they can do. Like they throw a couple punches and you slip it, and at that moment they realize that, oh, they're not on the same level as me. And there's a moment where it's an involuntary exhale of just like, and I say that's his soul leaving his body.
Wow.
And
It's a good description.
That's a great feeling. Just knowing there's nothing you can do.
Sorry, Sam, go.
No, because with boxing, the people who kind of don't understand it, there's so many different ways you're coming at someone. You're changing up all the time, and the best in the world, your Mayweathers and stuff, make that adjustment. They make a read on someone and see their tendencies, what they tend to do. And the moment they've got them covered, like you say, it's kind of like, all right, showtime now. Now I know. And when you felt their power once or twice and you can take that, straight away, you can't give me anything. I can now do what I want. And watching you in particular, I swear you look like you could be easily hit, which is what everyone believes because of that awkward action. And so it doesn't go well against someone who's so technically, in that game. You're so free flowing with you. So the matchup is so hard. One thing I'd like to get to, in Australia here, we have a massive thing with pink stumps day on football, pink jerseys for the AFL, cricket, you name it, for support of breast cancer. How did you start wearing pink so often with your boxing? How did that relationship come to you, and how did you get on board supporting such a great cause?
Actually, I was maybe 18, 19 years old, and I didn't know anyone personally who had been affected by cancer. But the I guess I call her the gym mom. She ran the recreational center at where the boxing gym was. And when I moved to Kansas City, I was 18 years old. I didn't know anyone in this area. I didn't know anyone for about 1,000 miles. And she was like a mom to me. So she made sure like I would eat dinner with them on Thanksgiving, and she was always kind. And then she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I started to wear pink to fight when I fought to honor her. And I did that for some years.
It's amazing.
Well, one of the other things, I got a chance to find some people that have asked you questions and that, because I want to do some due diligence. So I knew the person. But
I like that, man. I respect that.
Yeah. So I wanted to know you before without even meeting you. So I went and found some stuff, and some of the
feels like a
things,
second date.
You got it. But this is what's really cool is you're not only confident, which to be a pro athlete or an amateur athlete at your level, even though I didn't make it to the National Hockey League, which is, as you know, the highest league, I got a chance to go over to Europe. If you're not confident, and if you don't want that puck, or don't want that last punch, you're just not going to be there. So sometimes people think that's cocky. But some of the things that you're so good at in the ring, you say it was your speed, it was your power, it was your agility, your adaptation, you're able to reflex. But the one word that really stood out to me was charm. And what I took from that is that you are an engaging boxer, I don't want to call it an actor, because, when you're in the ring, you're not acting. But what you're an entertainer, and you entertained. And that's the way I took it when I played hockey. Yeah, we could dipsy doodle and score goals, but those people paid good money to watch me play. I want to make sure that they go away and say, wow, that crazy Canadian, he was unbelievable. He did that, versus, oh yeah, he scored a goal. And that's what you did in the boxing ring. Talk to me how you got that flair, I guess, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Get the charm. Let's call it charm.
The charm. So the way I look at it is straight up a game. From the moment the night before, when you get you see the posting online or at the fights of who your opponent is, to me, that's the moment the fight starts. So when my opponent sees me, I will always make sure I'm in a position where I can look down on them. If not morally, just in some way or form. And I'll do so in a kind way. So here's an example of something I do. Before a fight, guys have their headphones on, and you have your gloves on, so which means your playlist has to be rocking by yourself. So you have your playlist on, you're about to get in the ring in about 10 minutes, and as they announce you, you take off your headphones, you're walking to the ring, you feel a tap on your shoulder. Who is it? It's me. I'm there to hug you and tell you good luck. I don't really mean it. You know that. I know that you know that. But everyone's there. And the crowd cares about sportsmanship. So this is a part of the game. So you're in the zone. Now I snap you out of your ring walk with your music, and then you have to hug me. And then I let you go, and I run to the back, and everyone thinks that Cam guy's a great guy, which I am because I genuinely mean it. And then my ring song comes out. And every time I have a choice to pick my ring song, usually his is like DMX or something lively to get the crowd going, I choose the national anthem.
Nice.
Yeah. Everyone has to shut up, stand up, and look at me. And it ruins the awkward. It's just such an awkward tension in the room. It's so uncomfortable.
Yep.
And then everyone sits down. And then it's just a weird energy. But I'm the only one who's expecting that. So I'm not thrown off by it. But my opponent is.
Yeah.
So before the fight even starts, charm.
You're in the head. You're in the head.
Yeah.
Mind games. I'm a big fan of the mind games with sport. Like you say, same as someone who, let's put it to a 10th round. You go to your corner, you look straight across, and they're giving off that poor body language, whereas you're upbeat, kind of making sure that they know you're ready to go another 10. It's always that giving off a perception to try and throw them and alter them.
I've never sat down in between rounds before.
What exactly? And stand there and show them that I'm good to go. One of my favorite football players was like that. They do a 5K run. It took 20 minutes or something to a 5K run, and then he's bouncing around afterwards, even though he's as tired as well. Go, should we go again? Come on, we'll do it in reverse. Just to make sure those boys know that I'm better.
Yes,
I'm better.
Yes, and even if he's only better by a little bit. By that action, they think he is so far better than them, they would never even try to take his spot. I respect that man. That's how you become great.
Then you've got the angst where you want to get at that man. And when then they go from their plan to a bit of anger. And as soon as anger comes into a fight, you lose all of your game plan. Everything goes out and you're putting more on your punches than you need to, all those different things.
Here's another thing I do. So one of my favorite things to do, when someone throws a punch, if someone throws a hook, I could block it, but I never block it. What I do is I can block it and throw back, but instead I duck it completely. I take his hips, and I twist his hips around. So I take his momentum, and I take his back, and I pull his back close to me, and then I pull him in, and I hold him tight from behind, just for a second. I don't do like the hump motion or anything.
Yeah.
He knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know he knows what I'm doing.
Once you got into the boxing and you really started to learn what it was, who did you look up to? Who do you respect in the athlete, whether it be female, male, amateur, professional? Who did you look up to and think, that's someone I can model myself on?
Marlon Esparza. She was the 2012 bronze Olympic medalist. She was a role model to me, even though she was a friend of mine. But being that she went to the Olympics, she had all this experience. I always looked up to her. Franchon Cruz, another one. So back-to-back females. But the people I looked up to were actually the people closest to me. Ralph Morgolo, my first coach, he coached me for a couple of years. He was very crucial in my career to help me. I always thought I was really good, and he believed me for some reason. Just so you guys know, in my head, like by the time I had my 10th fight, before I had my 10th fight, I was convinced that I was the world's greatest boxer to have ever lived. Other people don't know this yet. And I knew that. I was confident to my soul. And then, I look back at film of me fighting, back when I was 18, when I was so cocky. It's hilarious that I thought I was so good. But back when I was so delirious and I was overconfident in my abilities in my head, Ralph Morgolo always believed in me, and that meant a lot. So he was one of the very influential people to me.
Well, listen, in 2015, don't state that you aren't good. You are very good. 2015 in Toronto at the Pan American Games, you won a bronze medal for your country. And then you had the opportunity to challenge for an Olympic spot in 2016. Unfortunately, you were going to Rio de Janeiro, and you lost to Julia Cesar Castello Torres. But one of the crazy things about that, in that loss, you were so good in the way you handled yourself, your personality, that outgoing personality, and you got quick humor. And I was reading, you actually go on tour and you do some stand-up comedy. Your positivity reigns that, you can lose, but that's not the end of the world. Like, losing is part of winning because it allows you to learn and grow. And I think a lot of kids, especially today, as you would know, we give out participation medals and ribbons and, just for showing up. And I think you do still have to have, you may differ in the philosophy than I do, but I still think you need to have some placements. You have to have that ability to challenge yourself. And if we all just stay the same, we all get the same participation level, we'll never be as great as you were when you were 18.
Yeah, I love competition to the point where it's not fun. It's not fun because for me, like, I can't do game night. I used to do game night with my friends. I'm not allowed to go to game night anymore because to me, I don't care about winning. The reason why I win is not so that I'm winning. The reason why I'm winning is the only reason why is so that I can remind you that you're losing. That's the only reason why I want to play. Like, I want to rub it in, and it's not always the most fun thing with games. And I take that same competitiveness to boxing. But because it's a more serious sport and there's more danger involved, that's why I'm able to – my goal is never to hurt my opponent. My goal is to basically out-finesse them, outsmart them. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to dominate, though. And sometimes that takes challenging their output. So sometimes in the first round, I'll say, let's see how much is in your gas tank. And I'll do all this crazy movement, and it looks crazy and it looks weird, but what it's doing is actually tiring my opponent out. And I know how much is in my gas tank. I don't know how much is in his.
That's good.
But in my competitive nature, I'll challenge him. Yeah. And I'll see how long he'll try to push it for. Yeah. And the second he gives up, that's when I'm like, oh, I only have a little bit left in my tank, but let me step it up just a little more to remind him he is not close to me. But that competitive edge needs to be left in the competitive realm. So now in the speaking world, I find myself looking to be competitive. So what I've done is I want to be the most active speaker. I want to be the best speaker. I want when people talk about speakers, here's a good way to put it. I want one day for people to say, oh, Cam Awesome, the speaker, oh, he used to box. Oh, he used to box too? Oh, that's cool. Because I want to pave a way in the speaking world for myself and make such a name for myself that it's bigger than what I've done in boxing. And the reason why I didn't turn pro in boxing, because I don't believe that's my calling. I don't know exactly what my calling is, but I do believe that I'm going in the right path right now in life.
Well, there's no question. And as you were talking, I played with a guy that had this very similar attitude. When we played chess, it was like unbelievable. He just wanted to control my mind. And he did it. He beat me every time in chess. I could never beat him. And we're hockey players. And, all of a sudden I want to grab him and jersey him. And he would have filled me in. But it was just that competitive factor. And he knew when I was done. He watched. He was a reader of it. And I think that's what you're telling us too. Listen, I've watched a couple of videos of you speaking. You're a very good speaker, very articulate. Here you are, in front of kids. And one of the things that's so important is with the success you had, and you're still a very young person. At my age, at 62, I still want to give back. And you doing what you do at your age is tremendous, because people, young kids can look up to you and be inspired. And what I really like about what you said is you don't want them to look at you first now as a boxer. You want them to look at you as the person and the story you have. And that's so important, because some people don't. And here, this is where I saw this picture and I loved it, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know this is from 2015. I did not remember that Canada was wearing blue. Is that that's a Canadian, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Simon, something Simon was his name.
Yeah.
Simon Keith or Keith. That was a really large man.
Yes,
I didn't appreciate how big that guy was.
So talk to us through then, now that you're speaking, of course, looking there in the ring, look at the confidence now as you go out with a microphone in front of you, and there's thousands of people or even 100 of people, and I've seen you could probably speak in front of 3 people. That's what make good speakers able to speak. Talk to us about that feeling now, not the roar of the crowd because you're throwing punches, but that I don't want to call it a roar, but the respect that people give to you when you are speaking.
I would say it's, when I first started, it was super cool, because it was like, talk about my winning and talk about this and that. But I realized, if I actually want to do a good job at what I'm doing, I'm not there to talk about my wins. I need to actually be vulnerable. And I've been in the ring with the biggest of guys, and I'm not afraid of that. But sometimes it's terrifying to actually share the way you feel, or share your hardships, or share your downfalls, or even your insecurities with a group of strangers. And you don't know how they're going to take that. You don't know if they might laugh. You don't know if you might see it online the next day. But I feel like it's my purpose, so I'm willing to be vulnerable to do that. But it's not always easy. But neither's cardio.
Talks about counterpunch. How did you go from whacking people around in a gym, hitting a speedball on the floor to ceiling, to all of a sudden someone approaching you and saying, "Hey, we're going to do a documentary on boxing. We'd love you to be a part of it." How did you get roped into that one?
Actually, I kept getting these emails, it's like spam, there's like an African prince who gives you millions of dollars, or there's like someone wants to someone sent me an email about being on a documentary, and I got multiple emails from multiple people asking to be in documentaries, obvious spam. And then one day I get to the gym, and someone calls the gym to get in touch with me. They're like, "We've been trying to send you emails for weeks." And I was like, oh, I didn't think anyone actually cared about my life enough to do a documentary. So it was actually, the documentary was called From the Ground Up. It was a vegan documentary. And I was flying around the country, working out different gyms and talking to different vegan people. And they just happened to I was filming this vegan documentary in New York at Gleason's gym. I happened to be there, and they had a boxing match for me that night. And I'm always down to fight. And I was like, well, I have my mouthpiece in my suitcase. I always bring it in case. I was like, I just need to borrow a cup. I'll fight in my sneakers. And I fought. And when I came out, there was more cameras. And at that point, it was a different documentary. And that's it. So I don't know how I started filming this guy, Jay Bolger, the director of Counterpunch, knew I was in New York, wanted to be in his documentary. And he just started filming me. And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was very casual in the very beginning. I don't know how these things normally happen, but I don't have an agent or anything. So you kind of learn the hard way.
Do you follow the careers of the other two gents, the young little Bebop, and I can't think of the other man who was on his last kind of chance?
Peter Quillen, Kid Chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't really been keeping up with much. I figured out a secret in life. I figured out if you don't know a lot of things, you'll be happy. So I rarely go on my phone. I don't know what's going on in the world.
Yep.
So like sometimes I'll check my social media feed. And I unfollowed like everyone. I follow and it feels I unfollowed some family members, but it's like we think about real estate, and real estate is a big business. When you think about your Instagram, every 5 posts is an ad. So 20% of your timeline is ads. Someone is making money off of that. So it's a valuable commodity. The other 80%, you get to choose what you put there. I don't care about following people if I have to see pictures of anything besides their dogs, because other than that, I don't care. I love pictures of dogs. Oh, I love pictures of dogs. And babies before they can talk. But I realized when I got rid of a lot of those things, I became a happier person. But I'm a lot less informed about what's going on in the world.
I said to I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I said to her that if we didn't watch the television, you wouldn't know that there was a war or that there was something going on. And I said, it's the only way you find out. And so, like you say, if that thing is switched off, then we are back in the peacefulness of our own existence.
Yeah, we're not meant to absorb a 24-hour news cycle, and we don't gravitate towards good news. So if there wasn't a news channel that did play nothing but good news, no one would really listen, because as humans we have this negative bias about us.
That's right, no question.
So.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, listen, as we have this opportunity, we've taken up almost the 45 minutes of your time, which is amazing. Thank you. I'd love to get you on our North American show, Gouche Live, one day, because your message is going to resonate with so many here. And I know Sam will be sending this out to the Australian constituency of ours, and they're just going to love your personality. But what I'd like to know about you now is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because right now you are grounded. You have such a positive energy about you. You're dealing with helping us understand inclusion. Of course, we could get very political and very into all the things that are here challenging us today. Of course, that thing called COVID and all the crazy other things that young boys and girls are just inundated. Of course, I mentioned this. The airwaves are here. It's always there. But you kind of ground it a little bit, with your inclusion and diversity part. Where do you see yourself over the next 5 years? What is your goal?
I want to do. I just want to do something. Of course, I want to continue to do what I'm doing now. But I want to live. I just want to be free. That's kind of my goal in life. I just want to help people. I want to give. I think I found a secret in the universe, and another secret is what you give, chances are you'll receive. And if you don't receive it, then you weren't supposed to get it anyway. So I just give love, and I expect to receive love. And if I don't, I probably shouldn't have got it anyway. And if you just take that kind of life motto to it, nothing's really that bad. But on a completely other subject, I think you've missed a big opportunity with your name. Like Gouche Live, it should be Gouche Morning or Gouche Afternoon. That should be like your slogan. Consider it.
All right. That's good thought.
And if I could just say on that one thing about giving, my whole persona for probably since I've met my wife has been about trying to find the best job possible and make as much money, whether that took me away from my family, whether that was putting myself into an industry that was bad for me, stressful, you name it. In meeting this guy, all of a sudden, how I came across him was I wanted to help a local hockey community make some money on the back of what Gouche does. So I started trying to organise some fundraising for them. Gouche realised that I could help promote his hockey a bit more, and I guess he realised where I was coming from, that I didn't want anything in return. And my life since 2018, giving over to just trying to help and to give back, has turned it around. And I totally take in what you said there. And if you're not meant to give it back, if you're not meant to get it back, and if that's what you were wanting, well, then you're not there for the right reasons either. So I hats off to you, mate. I totally agree.
Cam, I wanted to add to that because I'm the elder statesman on this program and have traveled the world, as have you, Cam. I know that Traps is still wanting to get to Toronto. We're looking forward to it once we get over this thing called COVID. But such a smart statement is that if you don't expect to get back and you give, you will get. There's no question. I can tell you from the years that I've been on the planet, the times where I was selfish, I was not happy. But the times when I gave of myself for not wanting nothing back, doing the charity work that I've done around the world have been so gratifying. And when we do all the things that we've done in Australia and seeing the smiles on the young boys and girls that may not have had the opportunity to play ice hockey or go to a hockey game is what makes me, it drives me. So your words are so true. And I think we all need to, especially now, take inventory of where we're at as a person, and not only physical, but also very important emotionally. And I think that's what you've shared with us today. Cam, I would love to get you on our North American show. I'm going to send you an email to see when we can, tee it up, because I think your message is really, really important right now at a time where we need people to understand, giving and also understanding. I think understanding it and watching a couple of the videos that you've done, you get it. Obviously with inclusion, there is, and I think it happens in the ring a lot. When you go, and I notice from the sports I play, when I play, I don't notice the person. I'm not playing the person. I'm taking whatever abilities I've been given and being able to beat that person as you do in boxing. You want to show them that extra. And I think that's what young boys and girls need to understand. Be the best of you. And allow yourself, when you are the best, you don't need to brag about it, but you need to make sure that person that you're dealing with knows that you know that you're good, and it's not in an arrogant manner. And I think that's what I loved about watching a couple little bouts that you had. You had the swagger, and I love that about you. As we let you go, if you could tell us one thing we could talk to our young boys and girls right now, obviously in this situation where there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of unknown. We don't know when this is going to be over, but yet we still need our youth to understand it will end and we will be better, and world we'll come out of this stronger, but it's tough for them right now. How could you give them a little bit of hope? What could you say?
I would let them know that even, first of all, I don't even look at youth as anything different than adults with just less resources. So the same way I think a 22-year-old should be working towards their future, I think a 12-year-old should be working towards their future. Of course, they'll have less resources and less of an idea of what they want to know an idea of what they're going to be. But if let's say there's a 12-year-old out there or a 14-year-old, you're not sure exactly what you should be doing with your time. Think about who you see living life the way you want to live, and figure out what they're doing, and not the cool things. So if you think like, LeBron James flies in private jets and he takes a lot of pictures and he has a big phone. I love it. No. Think about the aches and pains of his body. Think about the morning workouts. Think about the airport layovers. Think about the jet lag. Think about watching film. Think about team meetings. Think about interviews in different languages that you didn't even realize that you have to do interviews in different languages for other countries that no one will ever hear or probably see. And you have to do it with a smile on your face. Think about that your dog just died and then you still have to go to the game that night and smile. No one wants to think about all those things. But when you think about all those things it takes, you start doing just one or two of those things every month. You start to add them. You habit stack. Start doing a little bit. So if it might be education. So maybe you start reading 15 minutes a day. You start reading 15 minutes a day. After a year, you would have read a lot. We've been locked down for a year. So what I've decided to do with my year, the very beginning of it, I was in Dallas training for the Tokyo Olympics. I was going to represent Trinidad and Tobago, my dad's home country. I flew to there. I got dual citizenship to be able to represent their country, my dad's country. I was in Dallas training, and then COVID hit. I flew back. I was at fight weight. I was in great shape, and I said, I'm going to maintain this weight throughout COVID, but I'm going to read as much as possible. I said I was going to read as much as possible, and I was going to start 3 podcasts. The 3 podcasts didn't go anywhere, but I have been reading like crazy. I've been educating myself, and all of these things I'm doing is to try to make myself better at what I do. I want to be the best speaker. I want other speakers to feel insecure when I walk into the room because I'm so good at what I do. And you know what? I'm not even close to good at it. I'm not even close to where I need to be. But that's the work that I'm putting in. And that's how passionate I am about speaking. So whether it is sewing, whether it is you want to be an engineer, whatever it is you want to be, there are things that you can do to become better at it. And those are the things you need to do when no one is looking, when no one is around. Because when no one's around, you're right, a lot of us look at this phone and we say we don't have enough time, but you can check your phone usage, see how much social media you use, and see if you can use that time towards a goal. And think about if you use that goal at least 1 hour a day, you'll have over 350 hours at the end of the year of practice. It takes 10,000 hours to become good at something. If you're 12, trust me, you have some time.
Yeah, lots of time. Hey, listen, as we let you go, Traps, I know you want to make last statement, but I do want to say this. I want to repeat this because it lends itself to exactly what you said. Work hard when no one is looking. That means is what you said. You know what? This is all great to get the likes and get the pings, but I'll tell you what, doing that extra mile, going that extra mile when you don't need any accolades, do it for you, is going to pay off huge dividends and then allow you to make it look easy. Sam.
Thank you very much, Ken, for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. Maybe I've spent a little bit too much time on social media following you. I'm going to have to cut back on that time and commit a bit to my goals now, okay? I'm sorry, right, but I'm going to have to do that. I just want to know one more thing before you go. Who owned you? When you got in that ring, one walkout, whatever, who came out and totally unsettled you from the get-go? Who had you just guessing what was coming next? Is there someone that's done that to you, professional or boxing, either?
Do you know a boxer named Tony Thompson?
Yes.
Okay.
I do not.
Tony Thompson, he fought Klitschko twice. But Tony Thompson, I was at the Headbangers gym in DC. It's like this crazy, these guys work out hard. It's what they're known for. And I was there for a training camp. And everyone I sparred, I was making them look silly. I was on fire that month in training camp. No one can touch me. And then they said, we're going to call Tony. And they brought this guy. First of all, I don't give a damn who Tony is. Tony I don't care about Tony. And then they said, well, Tony fought Klitschko. I was like, well, did Tony beat Klitschko? No. Okay, then why do I care about this Tony guy? And then I got in the ring with Tony. You couldn't hit, if I tried to spit on Tony, I probably couldn't land it. There was nothing. He was talking to me while he was doing it. Respectfully, he was coaching me. Don't coach me when I'm trying to beat your behind. It was so frustrating. His boxing IQ is on a whole other level. There was nothing that I can do, and it wasn't because I was showing him any respect, because trust me, I didn't have any for him going into that ring. But stepping outside of that ring, I realized, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. Another boxer that I got in the ring with that his boxing IQ was so much higher than mine, Errol Spence. Errol Spence, he's about to fight Pacquiao.
Okay.
Errol the Truth Spence. he beat Kell Brooks. He took Kell Brooks' belt from him. He still got it.
Yep.
He's 147 pounds, but his boxing IQ was so. We just sparred. There was nothing that I can do. Of course, he couldn't hurt me because I was 70 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah.
But if he wasn't 70 pounds lighter, he would have dropped me multiple. Like Errol's, his movements. I think he's one of the greatest boxers out there right now. So
YouTube time. I'm sorry, I'm going back on my phone. That's going to be YouTube time. Sorry.
You can't do that. Sammy, you have no more time. We got lots of stuff to do. Hey, listen,
what about those goals, Sammy? What about those goals? You said you were going to stop looking at videos.
Not enough time. I'm a 12-year-old. Not enough time.
So I'll tell you what. I'm going to teach you guys something that's very important. Even at the old age of 62, you can always learn. So I'm going to say to you guys, Gouche evening.
Gouche evening. I love it. I love it.
Cam F. Awesome. You were awesomeness. I can't thank you enough for taking so much time with us. I'm going to reach out to you again because I want to get sparring with you, and I love listening to you talk. It's fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Well done, Sam. That was fantastic. I can't wait to meet this guy in person. Well, I'm going to. I'm gonna follow him, and he's gonna give me a couple of tricks when you and I get in that ring behind you.
He'll give you a day or two of preparation, and then give me an hour or two of preparation. Then you and I'll chuck the gloves and the headgear and everything going. So we'll go hockey, cricket, and boxing will be our final one. I might drop a few kilos so I can come back in the weight class for you if you want.
I better start dropping some kilos too. Hey, listen, a great show, bud. Thank you so much for getting Cam after seeing what he did on film and what he's doing for the youth of the nation. I love that, to give back. It's so important. And I think the one thing that you could take from tonight is the fact that you can give back. Don't expect anything to come. And trust me, loads come back to you. Thank you, bud.
No, an amazing person. Giving, that's all we want to see from our superstars.
All right, look at this. There's Robert. He's not just named awesome. He is awesome in every respect. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Aaron, for being about it. You'd be a southpaw for sure, Sammy.
I can switch hands, buddy. You don't know where it's coming from, Aaron.
Oh, my God. I can't wait. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for being a part of Gouche Live Aussie Style right here in Toronto, right there in Adelaide, Australia. We look forward to next Saturday and Sunday to bring you this great show, Gouche Live Aussie Style. My co-host, Sam Trapolino. Good night.
Chuck another shrimp on the barbie.
It's coming.